it's Jai452, and we're here again inside that cupboard of cosplay, rummaging around looking for stuff to pull out and go, hi, I made this. I've got a very special guest today, and that very special guest is CGarden Cosplays.
Hello.
Hello.
Right, this is my YouTube face reveal debut.
Whey!
The first ever interview on YouTube. So
Yay!
this is a first. This is a first.
It's an exclusive.
Indeed.
Exclusive indeed. See, we only have the best on iGame Online, guys. So I'm just going to jump right in with the questions and ask you, when did you first start cosplaying?
Well, unlike I didn't start cosplaying at conventions because up until 2015 there weren't any conventions in my area in Aberdeen. So I've been cosplaying for about 3 years, and up until Aberdeen's first ever convention, which was Granite City Comic Con in 2015, I had been cosplaying for movie screenings. There's a local independent cinema near where I stay called the Belmont, and they did movie marathons. Like, they did the Back to the Future trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and they did the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy, the Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. And so, for those events, I would cosplay, and I would show up to the movie screening in cosplay. So for the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I was Frodo, I was Shaun from Shaun of the Dead, and I think probably the one that went down it's probably one of the ones I'm most well known for at those events was Marty McFly for the Back to the Future trilogy.
Now, I can appreciate cosplaying as Frodo because I had to play as Frodo on stage, oddly enough.
That's something.
People know that about me. And I had to wear this god-awful wig that was like so curly and nothing like Elijah Wood's wig in the film.
Oh. Luckily, back in 2013, I kind of had sort of long, hobbity kind of hair, so...
Do you know the best thing I took away from that is the fact that I got to run around with my feet? And I love doing that.
I didn't run around barefoot, actually. Hang on.
I did.
See if I have them still, actually. Hang on. 2 seconds. Yeah, I didn't run around barefoot. I had these on. Giant pair of feet, which I got from Forbidden Planet. Basically, massive pair of slippers. And when you're sitting in the cinema in those for about 9 hours, it's the comfiest feeling ever. And it's even comfier when you take them off, too.
Well, I got to, like, it was in a hotel that we were in doing this, and I kind of said, okay, well, I'm playing this kind of hobbit character, and hobbits don't wear shoes. You know, can I run around in my bare feet, or will I get, like, cover?
Method acting on this.
Yeah, like, I said to the people that own the place, I kind of got the chance to speak to one of them, and they said, so what is it you're doing? And I told them, and I said, okay, can I, like, run around in my bare feet, or is that like a health hazard? And they're like, well, as long as you don't go into the kitchen or into the garden that was adjacent to where we were, because we don't want you like hurting yourself because you could end up stepping on something. So I got to run around on like almost like ballroom wood flooring, and the same on the stage, and carpeted areas in my bare feet, and absolutely loved it. It was like, awesome, bare feet. I mean, how often can you do that? Do you remember what your first cosplay was? Your first ever cosplay?
It was for the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy, and it was Shaun from Shaun of the Dead. So it was a very last-minute kind of thing. I was basically just wearing my school shirt, a red tie I bought off of Amazon, and I bought this off Amazon and custom painted it just to get a bit of love.
Nice.
It's a foam cricket bat.
So you still have that?
Yeah, I still have a couple of those. I was keeping them just in case, you know, I ended up going to a convention doing this. Shaun hasn't made a con debut yet, but I'm hoping I find sometime next year to sort of fit him in my lineup somewhere.
Awesome. So who or what inspired you to cosplay?
I don't really have any particular person that inspires me to cosplay. It's mostly just friends, because, you know, they're the people who, you know, keep telling me, you
need to do this.
Yeah, you know, just like, you know, keep on doing this, as long as you're having fun, as long as you're enjoying yourself, there's no reason to stop. Just keep on doing it.
Awesome. What has been the most challenging cosplay for you um, so far that you've ever done, both from the making of the costume and the acting side? Because there is a little bit of acting involved in cosplaying, as you'll know yourself. Um, whether that be how a character talks, or how they move, or how they might interact with someone. You know, so let's start with the costume side. Which one to date has been the most difficult for you?
The most difficult one would probably be Doctor Strange. If you can't tell already, I am wearing a Doctor Strange T-shirt. There's a Doctor Strange figure on my desk. I am a pretty big fan of Doctor Strange. So I was Doctor Strange for Saturday of MCM Glasgow last year, and I was just looking at the before I started making it. I was just looking at the costume, thinking, how can I do this without sewing anything, because I can't sew I can't sew to save my life. So I was just thinking of
No,
these
no,
little
no.
ways. Yes, I was thinking, okay, is there any way I could sort of make this costume but not have to sew? So basically, what I did was that I had if you look at the costume here, it's sort of like a sort of tunic. So I bought a long sleeve T-shirt that I deliberately sort of roby kind of look. And for the symbol on the chest, I didn't sew it. I had a piece of foam, like a really thin piece of foam that I actually velcroed to the t-shirt. And for the collar on the cape as well, the cape I already bought, like the cloak, had a collar. It was like sort of cheap Dracula cape I got off eBay. And I velcroed another piece of craft foam to the collar to give it that sort of pointed look. And a lot of people were going up to me at the convention going, "Oh, how did you make that? It's so impressive." And it's like, I just use Velcro and foam. It's not that difficult. It's like even a child could probably do this. So, and for an acting standpoint,
Mm.
everyone said this. Obviously people have different ideas on what a character should be and what they should and shouldn't do. What I do would fall into that kind of category. So that's my answer.
Awesome. Um, in your opinion, what is the most difficult cosplay? Well, the most difficult thing or character to cosplay as, both again from like a costume side and from an acting side.
See, for the costume side, a lot of people always bring up the big sort of bulky robot suits, or like the any kind of huge heavy duty armor, like an Iron Man armor or a Space Marine. But I think something that's equally as challenging to make, and also from an acting standpoint, is just any kind of creature from, like, whether it's one of the xenomorphs from Aliens or like a werewolf or a Wookiee. Just because you have to work, because with like robots and stuff like that, you have to, they're very stylized, and you can sort of, have artistic liberties when it comes to building the cosplay. But with like when it's like a like mythical creature or an animal, you have to make it as realistic looking as possible. So, and I've seen people, building like Wookiee costumes and werewolf suits, and they're punching each individual hair into like a knitted suit. And of course, that's really time consuming as well. And that's I'd love to do sort of stuff like that, but I just can't.
That's insane. That you mentioned there about big mech suits. Is that something that you've ever done or would like to do?
I've tried and failed horrendously. So.
Um, is that something that you would ever try again, or have you kind of said, no, can't do it,
If
not
I
doing it"?
learn the right techniques, like how to do Pepakura or papercraft, and sort of like folding different pieces together and like proper foam armor builds, I would do that. I'd definitely do that. I'd be up for doing that. And how I'm going to cope at the convention, I have no idea.
Well, you'd have to remain very well hydrated, and I know it probably looks like to the people at home I'm hugging the camera. I'm really not, just trying to fix it. Because it's slightly moving at the moment for me. Um, so What is one of the kind of more fun things that you've gotten out of going to conventions or to Comic Cons?
Obviously, well, I'm kind of known for this as well. It didn't intend for being a thing, but it sort of became a thing after MCM last year. I host an awful lot of meetups, Marvel meetups, to be very specific. But I always look forward to those because it's always great meeting new people. It's always good bringing people together, and you get a massive group photo at the end of it, which you just see that as everyone's cover photo, and you're like, yeah, I hosted that. That's pretty cool. And just like I always get a kick out of meeting new people too. So just people you meet at conventions. So well, aside from a few other people who are maybe not the best of people. Most of the people you meet at conventions are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. And I've met a lot of people who I would consider close friends. People like James and David and Blair, Angus, Billy, just everyone. They're some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Now, I do believe now that I'm actually getting a really good look at you, we have actually met before.
Have we?
Well, we're at a convention in Glasgow. It was a small local one. There was a bunch of people. No, I think we might have done. So
I've been
please.
to small local conventions in Glasgow, so unless it was MCM,
Oh, so you don't do the small ones in
I
Glasgow?
don't live in Glasgow, so.
Right.
But no, tell your story.
In that case, I'm completely running into somebody who's your doppelganger. There was a group of people there doing characters from Life is Strange.
Okay, no, I've not played that, and so it's definitely not me.
Okay. There was somebody dressed as Mr. Jefferson there, and there's a similar kind of appearance for me, and I'm like, maybe I have met you before.
That's not me.
Okay, well, I do apologize, but there we go. There's a funny story for us.
There's a clone. There's a clone of me running around in Glasgow. If you ever find
Yes,
him,
there's a
just
clone. You know who you are if you're watching this video. So, yes, we kind of talked about bigger Comic Cons there and smaller ones. Something that I ask a lot of people is, do you prefer the bigger Comic Cons to the smaller Comic Cons, or do you like the smaller ones better, or do you like a blend of the two?
personally, I like both. Actually, the smaller conventions are usually good for socializing as well, but when it comes to the bigger cons, they're just a completely different level. They're just insane, If you're going to a bigger convention for, guests, panels, I'd say go to those, but for, like, the social interaction, I'd say go to the smaller conventions. That's usually the case. And I love both of them. I get the same enjoyment out of both of them as as I do every other one.
Awesome. When you've actually been going to these Comic Cons, either big or small, what is the one thing that you're most excited for? And the one thing that either you used to find most nerve-wracking or still kind of do?
Well, for the thing that I found most nerve-wracking, and I still kind of do, is obviously public transport.
Hmm.
That's like, you know, obviously you come across people who are maybe, they don't know what a convention is, or just wondering why the hell Loki is walking across the street somewhere, and, But usually when I'm traveling to a convention center, I usually either have bits and pieces of my cosplay, like wigs, etc., in a carrier bag, and I get changed at the convention center, the venue, so I can just walk, 2-minute walk to the convention center, and just wait in line with everyone else, and not worry about anything.
Do you ever do what my cosplay partner in crime does, which is when people see him dressed in costume, he plays up to it?
I've only done that once. I was dressed as Star-Lord, and somebody, I was walking to the convention center, and somebody across the street just randomly shouted, "Dance off, bro, me and you!" And so I was like, yeah, Star-Lord, yeah. But I've only had that once.
So do you ever really answer as the character as well? Because that's something that my friend's really, really good for. Like, he's done Joker a couple of times, and
I don't
I
really
can
answer
remember
the
walking through
character.
I can remember walking through the streets of Glasgow as him dressed as Joker, and I'm just walking next to him. And somebody went, Joker, 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 and he's like, yeah.
I've never really done that in character, but I just sort of, point back and just like, yeah, I'm Star-Lord, yeah, totally. But as for things I look forward to, obviously reconnecting with people you haven't seen in ages is always a good feeling. And also, like I said, meeting new people as well. Conventions, if you're, how do I word this? If you're ever in a place, where just think about what I'm saying now. If you ever need to if you ever want to try to interact with people who have the same interests as you, conventions are always the best place to do these sort of things.
Yeah.
More so than online forums or YouTube. I'd recommend to anyone, before you go to a con, go on the Facebook page, go on the forums online on Facebook, chat to people, try to get to know people, see if there's anyone who shares the same fandom as you. And that's where friendships are made, trust me. That's before the actual con as well. I've known a lot of people through Facebook who I've met through cons, and like I said, they're probably some of the best people I know and are still close friends to this day.
After my first 2 Comic Cons, so many people added me on Facebook, and they've all started throwing invites to other Comic Cons that are happening.
The amount
and they're like, "Are you coming to this?
sick.
Are you going to come to this? Can you come to this?" And I'm like, I don't live in Glasgow, so I have to travel. It takes me an hour and 30 minutes to bloody get there.
Well, at least it's about 2.5 hours like me, so.
But yeah, it's yeah, I'd love to, but money's is an issue and all the rest. So, when you went to these Comic-Con events, have you ever entered into what's known as the Cosplay Masquerade? And if so, did you win anything when you entered into them?
Yes, 3 times actually. I've entered 3 competitions, once as Star-Lord, twice as Loki. For Star-Lord, it was more sort of a case of, okay, go up on stage, do a pose, show off a few of your props or whatever, and go off. Whereas in the other 2 competitions I entered as Loki, I had a chance to go up on stage in character. And there's actually a really funny story behind that.
I think I might have heard about this funny
Okay,
story.
right.
Go on.
Okay, for Capital Sci-Fi Con, back earlier this year in February, we were going up on stage, and the guy before me, this big burly 6-foot guy dressed as a Klingon, comes on before me. He's in character, threatening the judges with his little dagger and speaking in Klingon. And Des, the host, right afterwards, he just goes, "Do not get in character, that's not what I'm looking for, next please." And all you hear is me just going, "I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose." And the amount of people laughing and cheering was insane. I had 4 people kneeling for me that day. I had a Jawa, Daredevil, the Riddler, and Domino all kneeling for me, and it was glorious.
Are you friends with James and B?
Yes, I am.
Right.
Yeah.
James told me a story where you were dressed as Loki and you were going, "Kneel to me," up on some kind of podium.
That was not me. That was actually another
What
person
was it?
called Richard, actually.
Right, okay. Well,
I met him at Edinburgh Comic Con this year, actually. Love the guys, Richard.
if Richard is watching this interview and I haven't interviewed you, you get in contact with me because that would be such a great thing to do. But he kind of told me he was dressed as Loki and he was on this podium thing, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Kneel to me!" And I said to him, I said to James, if I had been in my Harley costume and just kind of walked past him, I would have said, if it didn't work for Bat, and just keep walking. The whole kind of, I burn you and I don't even check to see the damage. It's there you go. So what was running through your head when they called up your costume?
Well, I didn't win anything for those, but calling up on stage, of course I come from a stage background as well, and I was just like, okay, I better not screw this up, okay? I have to get this, I have to go full headless in here. I don't want to fuck this up, or else, I have let myself down. And so, but after the amount of cheering from the crowd, I think it's like, yeah, I've done my job right, totally.
Awesome. So, what are the top five, if you can get them? If you can't get five, we'll go with three. Funniest things that have ever happened to you while in cosplay.
So I'm just checking my phone to say I made sure I had these written on. Right, so, okay. These are in no particular order, by the way, and some of them are actually quite recent. From Granite City Comic Con at my meetup, there was this person dressed as this girl dressed as Days of Future Past Quicksilver. Of course, I was Loki that day, and you might have seen photos on Facebook. I had these sort of massive chains like binding my arms, and I was like, okay, because Quicksilver she had a roll of duct tape. If you've ever seen Days of Future Past, you'll know the significance of that. So I was like, okay, can I get a photo of you duct tape? And so it was halfway through, I was getting my hands duct tape, and I was like, this really needs to be a video, doesn't it? And so there's a video of me on Facebook, getting both of my hands duct taped by Quicksilver, and then, they also added in the part where I try to break out too. So basically me just desperately trying to peel off this bit of duct tape, and me just screaming, going, ah, for God's sake! Stuff like that. That was pretty fun. Second one is from Edinburgh Comic Con this year. I brought up the fact that I did Star-Lord for that con, and what I had was that I had a Bluetooth speaker in my pocket, so I would walk around the con playing 70s and 80s music. And this is another video that I filmed. And there's actually, it's on YouTube. My friend Angus from Hillside Comics Inc. has it in his Edinburgh Comic Con video. If you ever get a chance to watch that video, it's the perfect... It basically just shows the amount of insanity that happened at that con. And so there's a video of me and my friend Alan, also known as the Laughing Man Cosplay. He was dressed as a nostalgia critic, so there's a video of me challenging him to dance off. And so, song ends, and then James, as in cosplay as Professor Connors from Spider-Man, shows up, starts dancing along, and then David shows up as Albert Wesker, and it just becomes this massive, crazy dance party in the con venue. It's really insane. Third one I have down is the at Capital Sci-Fi Con, me, David, and a few other people recreated a scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail as Quicksilver and a couple of Star Wars characters. Alright, you know the scene where Lancelot is running towards the two guards?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's basically just the same shot repeated over and over again. Yeah, we did that with Quicksilver and two Sith. And a couple of other people. I'll probably send it to you on Facebook afterwards, but it's basically the same shot of me running towards them, repeated over and over again, and me stabbing David through the chest with a lightsaber. That was pretty fun. Another one, again, from Edinburgh Comic Con. After the Marvel meet, after the Marvel meet we had this person who was dressed as Black Widow, Megan, also known as Grace's Cosplay. And we had a couple of ideas for photos, and we were recreating that scene from the Avengers where Loki's in like the glass prison, and sort of like Black Widow's interrogating him. And so we did that, and there's another sort of, we had another take on that photo where basically we were both flipping each other off. And it's like, yep, this is how the confrontation should have gone down. And that was the first of many amusing photos from that weekend, which were later turned into memes. And so for the one of us both swearing at each other, we had the caption at the top, when you find the definition of mule and queen, at the top. And yeah, just those memes as well. And we've actually got a shoot planned for Glasgow Comic Con in July, so expect more photos. And the last one I had down was again from my Marvel meetup at Granite City Comic Con. My old profile picture on Facebook was me and the guy who's dressed as Thor, who's called Graham. Love the guy dressed as Thor. And it was basically just me on the floor with Thor's hammer on my chest. And it's just basically looking up at me. He's like, "Why are you doing this to me, brother?" But shortly after that, I hear this voice from the back, the back of the crowd, just going, "Teabag Loki!" So there's also other photos as well. That was fun.
Oh my gosh! Did anybody I hate to ask this question, but did anybody actually do it?
Yes.
Oh!
And there's photos of that too. Yeah, what happens at Comic Con stays at Comic Con.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I can't believe somebody teabagged you. How terrible.
Thor.
So my next question has to be, what opportunities has cosplay presented you? Because a lot of people who are like in their cosplay careers get presented with a lot of different opportunities, like being offered voiceover work or even being asked to guest at different events, even like getting their own business out of cosplaying. Has any of that kind of happened for you yet, or is it in the process of happening?
I haven't been asked to do anything yet, but me and a couple of friends have actually formed a Facebook group after Granite City Comic Con called the Granite City Avengers, and basically our plan is to basically do sort of charity work and sort of maybe a few. Obviously, the Marvel meets that I host will be held through that group as well, and we hope to do a couple of other things. It's basically just it's in the early stages right now, but we hope to do a lot more stuff with it in the future.
Have you done any charity work through
Uh,
cosplay before?
Only once, actually, only once, and it was basically a local shopping centre. We're doing a sort of like a Cash for Kids event, and we got a few of us got asked to do a basically go around with the charity buckets in cosplay, and I was in Loki cosplay. It was only I arrived a bit later in the day, so I was only there for like a few hours, but it was good, and I'd like to do more stuff like that. So
Have you ever, when you've been going to these kind of Comic Con events and such like, have you noticed a great difference in the age groups that are now participating in cosplay?
I find that there's obviously there's people from all sorts of generations doing cosplay. Like you have people, younger kids, like people who are like 4 or 5 going around as their favorite character, and then you have sort of the older generation who've been doing this for years and years, and they've been going to cons since their early days, and they're still cosplaying, they're still having this, they're still enjoying themselves and having as much as fun as everyone else as well. So yeah, there's a very wide variety of people who you see at conventions cosplaying and
Because
enjoying themselves too.
when I first kind of started, I just assumed that it was going to be people roughly around their like um, mid-teens to maybe mid-30s kind of thing. But when I went and seen there were little children and mums and dads and
Yeah.
even grands and
It's always
granddads
great.
doing it,
It's
I was
always
like,
great to see a family cosplay too.
yeah,
It's always great. Like there was a group at Granite City Comic Con who their kids were dressed as it was a Star Wars, it was a Force Awakens basically family group, and their kids were dressed as Rey and Poe Dameron, and their mum and dad were dressed as Han and Leia, and it was just so great. And they had a friend with them as well who was dressed as Chewie, and it's just stuff like that. It just warms your heart, and it's just like, yeah, that's parenting done right.
I
So
think the funniest thing that I've ever seen when it comes to little children is this little baby that was the brother of a little Ghostbuster boy, and they were in this little bug outfit, and we had an issue earlier in the day that
I heard this in Nicholas's
yeah
interview. Yeah.
where that other kid cried just from seeing my friend, and I'm like, oh. So I was really tentative to go up to this kid, but because I have a background in working with children, I'm like, I have to go up to this child and just kind of like at his stomach. Um, and I did, and I was like, please don't cry, please don't cry, just don't cry. I'm not scary, don't cry. And he just immediately laughed, which is fantastic to see that. And I even said to the mum, why didn't you enter him? Because he's so cute, he would have gotten something. And she's like, well, my other son was entering, so I didn't want to like upstage him. And I'm like, and you should have entered this one. You
Enter
would
them
have
as a
got,
group,
yeah, enter them as a little group. Like that could have been a little bug monster or something the Ghostbuster was hunting, which would have been great. Um, but yeah, so have you ever done any cosplays that are geared towards a certain age group?
Well, I mentioned before we were recording that I did Jack from An American Werewolf in London,
Hmm.
and I think they were recognized as, it's not recognizable as much as Loki was, but I had like, a couple of people walking past me just going, "Stay on the road, keep clear of the moors, beware the moonlights," and I'm just like, yes, you're
They
my favorite
know.
person ever. Yes, you know who I am. And like, a lot of people didn't recognize me, but those who did absolutely loved it. So that was pretty cool. And I guess Doctor Strange as well, I'd say, because it was the comics version, like the sort of the classic sort of Stanley Steve Ditko design.
Hmm.
Not the Cumberbatch one. I was Doctor Strange before Cumberbatch. Just put that in there. And obviously some people have recognised it, but I was surprised at the amount of people from the older generation who come up to me and just going, "Oh yeah, Doctor Strange. He was one of my favourite characters as a kid." And I was like, thank you so much." So that was kind of cool.
Have you ever done a Comic Con? Well, sorry, have you ever done a cosplay that nobody recognised?
Um, no, I think because most of my stuff I'd say is obvious. Well, MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and of course those are still very, very popular. I mean, look at how much money they're still making. People are still seeing those films, and obviously Kevin Feige and the rest of the people at Marvel are still pumping them out every few months. And obviously, they are very, very popular cosplays. Star-Lord, Quicksilver, Loki. But I was a bit worried that nobody would recognize Jack from American Werewolf, but I was surprised about how many people recognized him, so I haven't really had a cosplay that nobody has recognized. Yet.
I've only ever done one cosplay that people didn't recognise, and to my defence, I was in it was like a really crappy cosplay to begin with, because I got invited to a party up in Blackburn, and I was told at the last minute it was fancy dress, and I was like, "Are
Try to scrape together something at the
you
last
kidding
minute.
me?" Yeah, and my mum said to me, "Do you want to go? Like, do you want me to run down to the store and just get you like a Dracula outfit?" And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I've got an idea for something." So I put together a very crappy Edward Elric outfit from Full Metal Alchemist, and I actually spent time braiding the hair on the wig, and I was like, okay, I need to work out how to do his like fringe, because he has this weird fringe that kind of like sits up like that, and it's very, very anime kind of thing. And I was like, how do I translate that kind of thing? So I ended up just cutting the wig, and it just looks like weird kind of long bangs that have been cut at an angle. Um, but I managed to put it all together, and I went down there. Granted, it was an older generation. None of them knew who I was, and I felt really awkward. A lot of people kept asking me, "Oh, you from Harry Potter? Are you like Draco Malfoy's dad or something? He didn't have braided hair, did he? Oh, it must be from the book when he has braided
Yeah.
hair." And I'm like,
Don't even think he had a red robe either. It's been a long
"No."
time since I've seen Harry Potter, though.
And I'm just sitting there kind of like going, "No, I'm not that character." And they're like, "Oh, well, whatever your dress says, it's wonderful." And I was like, the most sarcastic, patronizing answer I've heard in my entire life.
See, with
So,
Jack, what I did is that I had I posted pictures on Facebook earlier, and I had like a picture side by side of the character from the movie. So whenever someone asked who I was, I'd just pull up the picture and be like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it's pretty accurate. I see. I mean, even something as simple as just blood and claw marks is still recognizable as something from something that people remember as well. So
um, the fun thing about that one was, oh crap,
oh,
sorry, I'm getting messaged as well, so I'm just trying to quickly reply to something. Um, Only two people knew who I was, and it was coincidentally, like, I don't smoke or anything like that. I actually went outside to get like some fresh air, because the costume, even though it was like thrown together at the last minute, it was still really, really warm.
I feel that. Yeah.
Um, so I went outside to just get some fresh air, and this girl came up to me and she said, "I know who you are." And because this was a family do, I automatically thought she meant she knows who I'm related, how I'm related, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And she's like, "You're Edward Elric." And I was like,
Finally, someone recognized me.
it took everything. I even said this to her. I said, "You're so lucky that I don't actually know who you are, because if I did, I would just hug you." And then our friend came up and she says, I can't believe, like, I actually had to, like, walk away for, like, a second, but I heard in the background her friend saying to her, oh, you should have got a picture with Edward Elric. And I was like, yes, another person knows.
Well,
Two,
maybe.
two people out of a possible 500 people knew who I was.
Okay, that is a pretty big gap, though. But
Yeah. So I was like, yay, people knew who I was. So, yes. So, what are the kind of things that you go through when you're doing costumes? Like, what's your thought process?
um, mostly, how am I going to carry my stuff while wearing my cosplay? Because some costumes I have, I can't exactly wear backpacks on them.
Hmm.
Like for example, Doctor Strange, Loki. Um, I had a bit of an issue as well with uh, Loki as well because I have a shoulder pad on my back, and obviously that keeps falling off. So it's like, okay, I could maybe have to carry my. I could carry my backpack, but I'd have to like if I'm taking it off, I'd have to put the shoulder pad on as well, and it's a pain in the arse to get on. So obviously carrying my stuff is obviously a big thing, and also trying to stay in character as well. That's really difficult too.
That is one thing that
Mhm.
even I found really, really difficult because a lot of people say my personality is quite similar to Harley's. Once you get to know me, I'm quite a light and bubbly person. But even I found it really difficult to stay in that kind of mindset for 4 to 5 hours, especially when you're tired and you're cold and people are just like, oh, can I get another picture of you? And you're like, if this mallet wasn't made of cardboard, it would be smacking the side of your head right now. I just want to go to the nearest bathroom, or I want to go and sit down, or I want something
Just
to
let
eat.
me sit down, have my food, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll get a picture later, you know, but just
Mhm.
not right now. Can you not see me right now? I'm just absolutely
E-
destroyed.
The one thing that I always really think is very funny, right? Um, when I went to it's not MC, I'm sorry, Film and Comic Con last year,
Yeah.
I went with my cousin. Now, he didn't go in costume because he had to be my manservant for the day. So I was like, here's my. He managed to get all around the circuit of the place when I was in costume quite easily. I didn't. Every 5 minutes I was being stopped and people were like, I need a photo. I need a photo. Can I get a photo? Photo, photo, photo. And I remember just being kind of like pushed to one side and people constantly just taking pictures of me. And my cousin walked past me with like he looked like he walked kind of past where the people were and looked up to me and he's like, do you want a drink? And I was like, yeah, like yes, yes, drink. He comes back and he has this massive sandwich and like stands there and starts to eat it as I'm watching. And I'm just looking at him like with this death gaze in my eyes, like as soon as we go home or as soon as we get in the car to go home, I will kill you and I will make it look like an accident. Have you ever had situations like that where you're just kind of like people are so enamoring you where you just want to do something but can't?
The only time I've ever had a situation like that was at Edinburgh Comic Con. It was me and a couple of other people. We were getting a group photo. It was me, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and a guy who was dressed as Iron Man, like a full armor Iron Man. And just like we were literally stood there for about 5 minutes because like it's like, oh, can I get a picture of you guys just all as a group? You know, not anyone in particular, just us four as a group, as the Avengers plus Loki.
Hmm.
We were just stood there for 5 minutes, just getting bombarded for photos. And it's like, that was like a few minutes before the cosplay competition, so we were just, like, we were in such a hurry as well, because we were trying to get it to the other end of the hall. So that was very, very, because we were in such a rush.
It's insane. Another thing that I kind of noticed was that somebody who had a double buggy with them at one point was kind of preventing somebody who was in one of those mobility scooters from going the direction that they were trying to go to. She's just standing there like this.
Moving extremely,
No, no,
extremely
no, she wasn't moving
slowly.
at all. She was just there, and people are screaming
Stupid.
at her, "Get out the way!"
There's like someone in a mobility scooter trying to get past. Have you
Yeah,
not noticed the people yelling behind you?
and in front of you. You know, because like the mobility guy was coming this way, and she was standing here, kind of thing.
Okay.
So he's like trying to get past her here, and she's just kind of like, she's obviously going this way. And it's like, will you not move, kind of thing? 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, so like this person with the mobility scooter was here, and the buggy person was obviously going in the same like direction as this person in the mobility scooter was coming down the way, kind of thing. And people were screaming at her. Both people behind her and in front of her were saying, "You need to move. He has the right of way."
Hmm.
And it took about 20 minutes for this situation to be resolved. And I was stood behind the guy that was in the mobility
That's,
scooter, and I'm like,
that's
I'm
insane.
desperate for the toilet. Move. You know, but to move on, because that's a kind of like side topicy there.
Yeah, yeah.
Props. Do you make your own? Do you buy them? Or what do you do there? Do you buy them and then alter them?
Well, for all the props, with the exception of one, I buy them and just alter them slightly. Like, for example, for Star-Lord, I had two blasters that were Nerf blasters. They were originally bright orange to begin with, and I sort of gave them a coating of silver paint, and also added little bits and pieces here and there. I added in with a sort of like flat matte grey from Games Workshop.
Hmm.
But with my Loki stuff, I got a friend to make it for me because that's like handcrafted stuff, and I can't do that. So, but in the case of other props that I have, I've just bought them and altered them slightly.
Is that something you would ever want to learn how to do, is to make your own
Oh
props?
yeah, yeah, I'd love to learn how to make my own props, especially ones out of foam. I'd like to give Warbler a try, but of course money is a bit of an issue, and also the fact that I can't do anything as well. So
I had the opportunity to sit down with two people who do a lot of prop making in well, for the first one, Alphabet, and another one is Calamity Cosplay, whose
okay,
interviews should be coming up relatively, well, I don't want to say soon, but in the near future.
soon-ish in the not too distant future.
In the
Yeah.
not too distant future, in a
Exactly.
galaxy far, far away as well. Maybe in a parallel universe that's already up. Who knows? Um, they actually make their own props, and one of them has a business out of it. And they mentioned, because I asked them, I was looking to get a prop done that I could use for almost bordering on LARPing in a
Mhm.
way. And I asked them, how much, like, could you give me a rough estimate as to how much this would cost? And they're like, well, if it was done in Warbler, which is something that they would want to do it in,
Yeah.
it's going to cost something like 60 quid. And that was just a rough estimate. And I was like, ouch.
I've
That's
seen people who
60
do
quid
that.
that I don't have.
I've seen people who do sort of stuff like that. Like, for example, Tom Wall on Sorenzo Props, he does a lot of stuff like that. And the same with Mike from What You See Here. The stuff they just put out is incredible. Like,
It
if
is
I
like
had nearly as much talent as those guys, I'd be like, doing
both
that sort of stuff all the time.
both Alphabet and Calamity Cosplays are extremely talented in the prop making that they do. Like, insanely talented. Alphabet is actually known for doing a lot of Skyrim cosplays, and just the intensity of stuff that he does is insane. Like, you can literally see the detail in his elven bow, and it's like, wow, there's not even that much detail in the freaking game. Um, depending on where you're playing it, you know. So also, we're going to stick with the props theme. Do you prefer to have a large prop going to a Comic-Con, or a smaller, like medium-sized prop, or one that can just easily fit in your pocket?
Obviously,
Or
no. Now
or
just say that.
does it depend on what you're cosplaying as?
Obviously, I always try to go for smaller props because they're easier to pack as well. Um, but the only instance where I've had to carry a really large prop on public transport was probably Loki's staff, and so I had it wrapped in bin bags and tied up using rubber bands. So, because I was also really worried about it breaking, but it held up though, which was really nice. But I always have my glue gun just in my suitcase, just in case something happens.
Always a
But
good idea to be prepared.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um, so when you're going to do a photo shoot, are you more inclined to use the kind of bigger props then?
Props are
Or
always
again, is it like, I'll go with a more compact one?
props are always great to bring with photo shoots. Like I've only done one photo shoot before,
Hmm.
but it was as Loki. But like I always think bring as much things as you can because the more stuff you have, the better. The more opportunities you have for photos as well. So that's the kind of thing I just use. Play out all your cards. Just do it all at the time.
Okay, so my next question for you is, in your opinion, what is the best and worst things somebody can do when they're getting ready to go to a Comic-Con event?
Worst thing to do: leave everything last minute. Especially if you're ordering things online. Say like you're ordering pieces of your cosplay online. Something might not fit. Your props might not arrive on time. Something may occur where bits and pieces, are maybe not working well the way you thought they would be. Just things like that. Just don't plan ahead. Make sure you have a set idea of what you want to do, and then get working on your cosplay as quick as possible before the con, just so you have time if anything goes wrong. Best thing to do, I said earlier, try and meet as many people as you can. Conventions are always great for making new friends. Like I said, go on Facebook, go on the forums, see if there's anyone who's cosplaying the same character as you, or someone from the same series or fandom. And also chat to people on the comments section on the MCM forums or the Collector Mania event page or something. These people, once you meet them in person, could easily just be your some of your closest friends you've ever and some of the nicest people you will meet. Everyone's really friendly. So conventions are. I've never really been to a place where there's just such a universally good atmosphere throughout the entire weekend, and I think definitely shows at the larger and smaller events too.
Hmm.
And they're always great for meeting new people.
So before I ask you my last question, and before we do the Passover as well, can you give us 3 cosplays that you're going to be doing this year? 2 definites and 1 maybe.
Okay, 2 definite ones. Well, for MCM, and actually I'm seeing X-Men Apocalypse tomorrow as Gambit. Expect 90s cartoon series Gambit for Saturday of MCM, and also, any other cons or any other events I have a chance to fit him in. I'm undecided on whether to bring Marty McFly or Gary King from the World's End for Glasgow Filming Comic Con, and this is my maybe one. If I can find a website that's got a decent Doctor Strange costume from the movie, the Cumberbatch version,
Mm-hmm.
if I can get that by the end of the year and see Doctor Strange as Doctor Strange, you can, guarantee I'll be doing that. And it'll probably be on my lineup for next year, so.
So my final question for you is, what advice would you give anybody who wants to cosplay but doesn't know where to start?
As for choosing characters to cosplay, I'd say look at all your different fandoms, anything you're a fan of, and just think either pick your favorite character or just anything that you think would be simple to do. Like for example, my first cosplay was a character from a film I liked that I thought would be incredibly easy and also from a budgeting standpoint, and then just sort of doing it, work your way up. Do some of the more complex characters. Maybe try making your own stuff, buying more expensive cosplays. And I'd also say the same advice I give to more people as well. Try and meet as many people as possible.
Awesome.
So,
So before we finish up completely, guys, I'm going to pass over to our wonderful guests here and ask them, where can we get in touch with you on social media if we have any further questions?
okay, right. So you can find me on Instagram as There Is No Craig, Only Zool. Ghostbusters reference, of course. You can find me on Cosplay Amino as There Is No Craig, Only Zool. It's a bit pattern built here. I have a cosplay page on Facebook called CGarden Cosplay, and shameless plug here. We also have a group page that I mentioned earlier called Granite City Avengers. That's obviously a group page, and I'm a member of that group, so you can expect, you can follow that page just to see, future appearances, and also maybe in the not too distant future, little bits and pieces that we're doing for charity as well. And I also have a YouTube channel, which is just called Craig Garden, because of the whole YouTube Google Plus thing, where I had to get rid of my old username and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's basically every format you can find me on, too.
Awesome. So don't forget, guys, we will have links to all of these down in I think the description is it down there somewhere?
Yeah, YouTube keeps changing its layout like every 5 seconds. It's confusing.
I'm pretty sure that the description is down there, but don't forget to tickle that like
somewhere near.
Yeah, somewhere down there. Like, oh, there it is. There
By the time it's up, maybe it could be
maybe down there, maybe over here. No, it's down there.
Click the links, by the way, by all means. Click,
definitely click the link.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Click the links, and don't forget to tickle the like button, because we like tickled like buttons.
Yeah.
And even subscribe for more content, because you never know, I might put more of these out. Also, so we'd like to just thank you for taking the time out and spending it with us and helping us rummage through this closet of cosplay. Will I ever get out? So thank you very much, and we will see you all later, guys. Bye.
Bye.